Hello everybody, today we're going to be reviewing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was released back in October 2023. It was first released in England on October 25th, and then 2 days later it was released here in the United States on October 27th. And it was released by Blumhouse Studios. Now this film was in production for eight and a half years, starting in April of 2015 and now being released in October of 2023. With a budget of $20 million, it made $297.2 million in the box office and has a running time of 109 minutes, which is about 1 hour and 49 minutes. Now, the film was directed by Emma Temme, and the screenplay was done by Scott Cawthon, of course, who is the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, along with Chris Lee Hill and Tyler McIntyre. Now, the film was produced also by Scott Cawthon, of course, along with Jason Blum, and the music score for the film was done by, of course, by the Newton Brothers. Now, this film is based off of course, the Five Nights at Freddy's video games, one of the largest indie horror video game franchises there is. I mean, everybody knows it. And in a couple of months, FNAF's going to be 10 years old. Which is crazy. I saw the film when it came out. I saw it when it first came out, or at least a couple of days afterwards. But anyways, I saw the film and I thought it was great. It was amazing. When I first saw that film, it was like, one of the best films I had ever seen. It blew any movie-going experience I had ever seen out of the waters, because it was a film I really cared about. The movies I had seen a few years before, I didn't really care about that much. I didn't care for them. I didn't know anything about them. But this is the FNAF movie. I, along with everybody else, waited 8 whole years for this film to come out, and finally it's out. But of course, a while has passed, and the FNAF movie is coming out late next year. So I decided, after all this is blown over, the FNAF movie mania, I'm gonna give my thoughts on the movie and all that sort of stuff when you make a review about a film. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So let's start, of course, where all films start, at the beginning. Now, at the start of the film, we get to see a 32-bit reenaction of the missing children's incident of 1985, as we see the purple guy put on the spring bodysuit and lure away, of course, the children in the incident, taking them off into the back room, as is all dramatized in this sort of 32-bit sort of way, as it also has a really, really good music. Very ominous, sort of spooky, scary music that was done by the Newton Brothers. It's absolutely fun. They want to make her one of them, and Mike's got to stop that. Now, she doesn't seem to see that this is a bit off. Why? I mean, anybody who's 10 years old, regular 10-year-old should figure, hey, just because you're kind of right doesn't make any sense. That does that, because and the way she just acts sort of doesn't make sense for a 10-year-old to act. She acts like she's made a whole lot younger, which is meant to be a whole lot younger than 10 years old. But now, a good thing I gotta say is the fact that, a lot of people complain about the fact that the fort building scene in the FNAF movie, where Abby and the animatronics all build a big old fort. But of course, if you really think about it, and of course, their portrayal is not that scary for a good majority of the film. Of course, near the end of the film, they do become sort of minor, sort of antagonists, you could say. But if you really think about it, these are still meant to be kids, and they just want friends. That's all if you really think, because they've been there for who knows how long. At least, if we're going based off of the games, for at least 15 years, they just been there, live there in a pizzeria. So of course, and they still, there are a couple of kills, but they're fairly bloodless. Of course, people complain about that, thinking that the games early on were like a horror bloodfest. But of course, in the early games, like first game, for example, the closer we get to blood or guts is when we see Mike's eyes out of the Freddy costume when he died. The closest thing to that, next following that, was the third game, where we saw an 8-bit purple guy bleed to death after to get spring-locked, just stabbed everywhere. It's a famous early hoax in the FNAF movies, in the FNAF novels, in the FNAF games, and of course also just in general a lot of other things. Also, the movie was made for the fans. It wasn't made for the general audience. Of course, that's kind of a holdback, you could say, because you could have brought it to FNAF, the FNAF fan to a whole lot of people. So many people you could have introduced the film to, but you didn't. And of course, some see it as a good thing, some see it as a bad thing. I see it as a good thing, because they probably would have soiled it if they tried to appeal to everybody, the general wide masses, who, of course, if you tried to make it close to the games and the lore, they wouldn't want to watch that movie. No one would. I don't think so. Anyways, but all in all, I would say it is pretty good. Special effects are good. The acting's good too. But of course, like I said, all the plot points and details pretty good. Yeah, that's like what I gotta say. Alright, so what rating I'm gonna give it? Now, in these reviews, I'm going to be using a out of 10 rating scoring system. So the rating I'm giving it for our first ever review is a 6 out of 10. Now, you may be wondering why I give it a 6 out of 10, even though I had a lot of criticism to say about the film. Well, because the fact is, a lot of people made a lot of this film, but really think about it. That's fact that all of this production, heck, they still made this movie, and it wasn't even that bad. Because it really isn't that bad, really. And also, I'm just a really big FNAF fan. I really like it, so it's kind of that. But still, the fact is, of course, they were able to make this film, and it wasn't complete garbage. You gotta give them props for that, because your special effects are amazing. The music score is great too. The opening music scoring, they used the FNAF song by the Living Tombstone. You got Map Hat, they got Corey Extension. And they also, like I mentioned, they humanized the missing children, which had really been done. Really showing that these aren't these are kids still. Like, really think about it. All in all, these are still kids, and so that's why they're building that fort. That's why they built that fort, because that's who they are. And the funny moments kind of are pretty good too. But yeah, that's something I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I'll see you all guys tomorrow when I make my next review. What am I reviewing tomorrow? I don't know. I'll figure it out. See ya.